Hi, Maria here. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you some pear-centric fragrances. So I had a request to do some pear fragrances for you. So I wanted to share with you my favorite pear fragrances. There's a few in here that I don't have. There's one that I'm not crazy about, but the rest are ones that I really enjoy. And all of them I have tried on skin. And that's the one thing that I wanted to say to you guys. There's lots of fragrances that I've tried that may have pear in them. But if I haven't tried them on skin, I rarely will mention them because I can't give you guys an accurate description. So just thought I'd just put that out there. I may mention fragrances on occasion, but I would always tell you if I've not tried it. So there's one in there that's like that, but the rest I've tried. So before we get started, if you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that button. Join the Weird and Wonderful family. It would be amazing to have you part of the community, and let's get into this. There are so many fragrances out there that do have the pear note, but these are fragrances where I can for sure smell that pear. And I want to start with one of my absolute favorites. When I think pear, this is the fragrance that comes up, and it is La Belle by Jean Paul Gaultier. So there's La Belle and there's La Belle Le Parfum. Now I have tried La Belle Le Parfum once on the skin. I wasn't as big a fan of that one as I am the original because it has too much tonka in it and it gets a little bit, I don't know, like I just feel like this was perfection. So what this is basically a pear. It's got pear, vanilla, vetiver. There's some spices in there. There's a whole lot of notes in it. But what I get is this spiced poached pear. My mouth is watering just thinking about it, with a little bit of booziness, really quite sweet and mouth watering. So definitely poached pear, smells like a cooked pear. I love this fragrance. It's so feminine, happy, energizing. It always gets me compliments. It's quite intoxicating and addictive. It has massive projection. So I really enjoy wearing this fragrance. This is one that I never feel anything but pretty when I put this one on. Like a pretty, slightly saucy girl. That's this fragrance. It's so lovely. And honestly, this bottle is one of my favorite bottles. I just love it with this gold rose detail on here. Absolutely adore this one. I would say this is definitely my favorite pear fragrance. Moving on. I want to mention this one because it does have pear in it and it smells a little bit similar to La Belle, but it like a major departure, but the pear smells similar, and that is Vanilla Candy Rock Sugar 42 by K. Alley. So this is way sweeter. It's got a lot more sugary candied notes, like bubble gum. I think there's jelly beans in here. I think there's cotton candy. So a ton of like delicious kind of sweet notes, but this candied pear in here, it smells to me very similar to that La Belle pear. And I really enjoy it in here. It doesn't last that long. So in the end, that pear feeling goes away. It smells a lot less like La Belle in the dry down. And it just smells like a candy, sugary, delicious treat. This one has insane longevity. But that candied pear or that cooked pear that's sweet and delicious definitely comes out in the opening. And it does smell similar to this. This to me is more candy, sugary, a little bit sparkly. This smells a lot more poached pear, spices. It's a little bit smoother to me. This one is a little bit kind of sparkly or fuzzy feeling. This one feels a little bit more silken somehow. So if I were to choose between these two on the basis of the pear, this is my number one. Like this is always going to be my number one. But this is a really fun fragrance that does have that pear vibe that is excellent for layering with other fragrances for sure. Love this one. Glad to have it in my collection. But my choice, if I were to like which one's better, La Belle or this one, I would say La Belle is better. Of course, it depends on your needs. A pear fragrance that I absolutely love, it's one of my favorite fragrances in my collection, is Jean Paul Gaultier again, Scandale à Paris. Now this one has a beautiful fresh pear. So it smells like a fresh, ripe pear in the opening, paired with honey and jasmine. The pear is very present. It's juicy, smells like a ripened pear. So a juicy, sweet, ripe pear, but it does not smell cooked. So the labelle and the vanilla candy rock sugar, the pear smells cooked. In this one, it just smells like a ripe, juicy pear. I think springtime when I smell this. And then with that honey and that jasmine, definitely get the honey more than the jasmine. The jasmine just smells sweet floral to me. But with that honey and the pear, oh my goodness, like just imagine a pear really ripe, drizzle a tiny bit of honey with some cheese, maybe some wine, something like that. That's the vibe that this gives me. This one has insane projection, so you smell it for quite some time. It's about 5-6 hours, maybe a little longer on the skin. The honey comes out more as you wear it, but it stays less animalic than Scandal, which I love that fragrance, but it smells like urine. It smells like someone peed on my skin. The honey is just too animalic for me, or that's what comes out on my skin. But this one, this gives me that honey fix without it getting too animalic, and I love the pear in here. I just think it's beautifully done. So talking about kind of a fresher pear, another one that I think is beautiful. I really think it's beautiful, but it's not one I gravitate towards. So I have a little travel spray of it and I never use it, but I think it is a lovely fragrance. Just for whatever reason, I just never think of grabbing it. I think part of it is because the floral in here is English pear and freesia. So you get pear and melon in the opening. In the middle, you get freesia and rose, and then the base is musk, patchouli, rhubarb, and amber. What I mainly get is that freesia and that pear. And so the pear smells, again, really sweet, bright, fresh, along with that floral. And so for me, the floral is what makes me not gravitate towards it as much. The pear to me is also, it smells ripe, but it doesn't smell overripe. So it doesn't smell to me like a really, really juicy pear, just a green, kind of like a green pear, like a green colored pear that's just perfectly ripe, but not overly, if that makes sense. So it's a very nice, fresh pear fragrance, but it's just not my favorite. A fresh pear fragrance, though, that I absolutely love is Burberry Her EDT. This, to me, is the epitome of a springtime fragrance. Honestly, English pear and freesia is too. And even if I don't like it, there are so many people that love that fragrance. So again, that's why I want to mention it. Just because I might not gravitate towards it doesn't mean that it's not definitely worth a sniff. So Burberry Her EDT, this is one that's on my wish list. I haven't bought it yet, but I really enjoy it and love the idea of it, especially for spring and summer. In the top, you have pear, strawberry, blackcurrant, and pink pepper. In the mid, you have peony, lily of the valley, rose, and honeysuckle. And the base is musk and cedar. So for me, I get the pear. I don't really get the other fruits. I definitely notice that pear, and I feel like I'm noticing the honeysuckle / lily of the valley more than anything. Don't really notice the peony and the rose, and then definitely get some muskiness in there. Don't notice the wood so much. So this to me is just a very beautiful pear floral, like a floral pear. The pear is bright and energizing, very refreshing and almost cooling. So I really enjoy this one. I think it's a playful fragrance. It's fun. It's slightly flirty, and it would definitely be an easy reach fragrance for me. So really enjoy that one. Another one that I'm going to mention that I know I have tried it on the skin, but it's not one I would ever go for, but I want to mention it because I think quite a few of you would really like it, and that is Pear Ink by Juliette Has a Gun. Now, as I've said in past videos, Juliette Has a Gun fragrances just do not agree with me. I'm not sure what it is about the base of their fragrance, but it just instantly does a weird thing in my, I was going to say in my ears, but in my nose, maybe ears, like my nose, these nostrils, I think they go all the way to my ears. But anyway, it has pear, ambroxan, musk, and amber in it. Now, I am not going to weigh in heavily on this one because I honestly don't remember it. It's been so long since I've worn it, but I wanted to mention it because some of you are huge Juliette Has a Gun fragrances. As I recall, it's more of that fresh, bright pear. But if you are familiar with that one or you have it, please weigh in on that one and tell everybody what you think, because I thought it was a decent option. Really get the pear in it, but it's just those fragrances aren't for me, but I wanted to mention it. This one is an amazing pear gourmand, and it is Pear Gelato by Theodoros Kalatinas. Now, what I love about these fragrances by Theodoros Kalatinas, they're 50 mils, but they run about $75 Canadian. I think they're 45 euro. So for a niche fragrance, these are priced so amazingly. And I love so many of the Theodoros Kalatinas fragrances. This one is no exception. Honestly, it's gotten even better. In fact, I had put this away for the summer and I'm pulling it out again because I'm loving it even more than I have. I'm just going for it today with this one. This is totally doing it for me. So this fragrance has that pear in it. To me, it doesn't smell overly cooked, but it's very, very ripe pear. So super juicy, ripe pear, the kind where if you bit into it, it would be running down your cheeks. So that kind of pear, but also almost a little bit candied in the sense that I think of like an ambrosia. So really ripe pear mixed with kind of whipped creamy gelato. So this has vanilla, waffle cone, milk, pear, and sugar. And definitely get that waffle cone in the sense that you know how waffle cone, if you smell it when they're being made, there's a little bit of almost a spicy feel, like a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg. It feels like that. So that cone, slightly vanillic with a little bit of spice. That's what I get. I get the milky creaminess of this one, but the pear stays fresh enough that it doesn't start to feel super thick and cloying. And I find that pear stays fresher for the whole entire wear of the fragrance. So I think this one is super fun, a little bit sticky, creamy, yumminess to it, but it doesn't get too thick or cloying. And for me, sometimes even gourmands in the winter, if they get too much, I get overwhelmed by them. So this one is just perfection in my opinion. The longevity on this one is really decent. Like I get at least 6 to 7 hours. Like it's one of those fragrances where I keep smelling it. So even when I think it would have disappeared, all of a sudden I'll get a big whiff of it. So I really enjoy wearing this. I enjoy the creaminess of it. And I would not discount wearing this one all year round as a gourmand, because even though I find that it's not cloying or thick, sometimes gourmands, the fall ones, you can't wear in the summer and spring. This one, even though it's a little bit fresher, it definitely would hold its own any time of the year. And I can imagine pairing something like this with a vanilla candy rock sugar, or pairing this with a warmer vanilla. I just think that would be just delicious. So love, love, love this one. I've got 2 more for you. The first one is L'Interdit by Givenchy. I definitely get that pear in the opening, but it's equal with the tuberose. So this is a bubblegum tuberose pear fragrance. It's got some bergamot with the pear in the opening. It's got tuberose, orange blossom, and jasmine in the heart, and then the base is patchouli, vanilla, ambroxan, and vetiver. Primarily, I get the tuberose over anything else and the pear. So it's sweet, but very, very floral. I enjoy wearing this fragrance. I think it's very warm. It's sophisticated, a little bit sexy. This one is very, very put together, feminine. The longevity is amazing on this, like a good 8-9 hours. Projection is amazing. This is a compliment getter. It's an easy reach, but this one for me is better suited to fall and winter. I find that in the summer, this can get really overwhelming, but it's an absolutely gorgeous fragrance that could be signature scent worthy. You just want to go really light in the spring and summer with it, but I really enjoy it. The pear definitely comes out, but like I said, it's kind of equal with that tuberose. And same thing with Velvet Vanilla by Mancera. They're kind of similar in a way, except I find Velvet Vanilla to be way more vanillic. I would say out of all the fragrances, Velvet Vanilla would be the least amount of pear, but I definitely still get a little bit of a pear vibe paired with that tuberose. This has some angelica in it. There's some orange and black currant. I definitely get like a whisper of green with the pear and the tuberose. Again, this one has lots of florals. So there's jasmine, neroli, and rose. I noticed the tuberose. And then the base is vanilla and white musk. I don't get any musk out of this. What I get is a slightly green, not as in a green pear, but like a slight green note on the top, mixed with pear and tuberose. And then as this dries down, that kind of dissipates and you're left with basically vanilla buttercream icing on your skin. So really enjoy this one, but it's definitely the least amount of pear, but it's such a great fragrance. As far as longevity is concerned, this is going to get you 12 hours. You can go on a whole vacation with this fragrance, like all Manceras. If you're going on some sort of weird escapade where you don't know the next time you'll be able to put fragrance on and you don't know when you'll be showering next, toss this on and everyone will think you smell amazing for like, I don't know, 72 hours. Like this thing lasts forever. But like I said, as it dries down on the skin, you lose that pear. The pear is kind of fleeting, but mixed with that tuberose. But as that kind of dissipates, you're just left smelling like icing, like totally like vanilla icing. So I really enjoy wearing this one. This is a celebratory fragrance. Like when I put this one on, you know, I don't even know what it's called. That one where you're like holding on to each other in a big, huge line. I don't know why, but that's this fragrance. It's just fun. So really enjoy this one. Pear is honestly one of my favorite notes. Really, really enjoy it. I do have other fragrances that have pear in it, but pear's not the star. These ones, for the most part, pear is definitely very present, except for the last two, L'Interdit and Velvet Vanilla. Their pear is there, but it's kind of a co-star. The rest of them, definitely it's prominent, especially in the opening. So as far as the fragrances are concerned, my favorite fresh pear would honestly be Burberry Her EDT. I just think that's an excellent, if you just want a really fresh, kind of clean pear fragrance with some floral, that is a fantastic one to reach for. Real easy reach, could be signature scent worthy. I feel like it feels a little bit more spring and summer, but it's just excellent. Of course, Scandala Paris, that is one of my favorite kind of fresher pear note fragrances. That one is, again, super jubilant, energizing, and my husband really likes that one. So love that one, love the honey in it. Of course, La Belle is just so stunning. So to me, La Belle is honestly a bit of a masterpiece as far as a fantastic solid fragrance that I don't see it ever going out of style. Bordering on, like, it's kind of got that gourmand feel, so sexy and intoxicating, but I still like wearing it during the day. And really, you can wear that one all year round. Pear Gelato is such a fun kind of fresh pear gourmand. Just really enjoy that. It's something that's a little bit different. So I love all of these fragrances except for the Juliette has a good one. What about you guys? What are your favorite fragrances that have pear in it? If I haven't mentioned it, like, please give us your recommendations. And if you've tried any of these, weigh in. And other than that, I hope you have an amazing week and we'll talk to you soon.